And this really speaks to, I think, your particular competitive advantage. Every city and metro needs to network globally. Global demand is the growth potential of the United States. If you look across the world, these are the manufacturing hubs. They're not the only manufacturing hubs, but these are the major production centers in North America and Europe and increasingly in other parts of the world. These are our major finance centers around the world. We used to think that global cities were only New York and Tokyo and London and Paris and Frankfurt, right? That's how we used to think. Those are the only global cities. Frankly, every city above a particular size at this point in time is already a global city because of immigration, investment from abroad, and trade outside, and has to become even more so. Again, when I think about this part of the world, I think your competitive advantage, and an innate, natural competitive advantage, is to sit on the border with our third largest trading partner and orient yourself to the rest of our hemisphere. That is an amazing position to have, an absolute incredible position to have. And already at UT, with Latin American study centers and Mexico American study centers, and expertise in what you heard before from the panels of the researchers, this is something that you can do. It is about aspiration. It is about thinking about where your economy can go, not tomorrow, but in the next 15 or 25 or 35 years. I've been here for less than a day, and I travel all over the United States and the world. This is a really distinctive place. You feel it from the moment you land, and particularly you feel it when you enter this campus, right? You have enormous possibilities, you have enormous assets, you have enormous advantages, but you need focus and discipline, particularly in a country when our national government is adrift and on a frolic and a detour, and that could be a while. You need focus if you're going to deliver the next economy and create inclusive growth for your people. Thank you very much.
That's another terrific knock it out of the park kind of speech. We've had a couple of those today, just amazing. I want to invite a couple people, at least one, maybe two, to ask questions of Mr. Katz while we still have use of his time here. The first one is Fred Rusterberg. Some of you know Fred is the president of IBC and the former chair of the UT Brownsville Development Board. Mr. Rusterberg, you've been involved in a lot of regional economic development projects. I'd like you to respond to what you heard from Mr. Katz on the role that communities can play in serving as the economic engines of our state.
Thank you. I'd like to share with you an initiative that's been ongoing for a little over 4+ years. 4 years ago, the City Commission commissioned a comprehensive plan to be designed, and they asked me to chair it. First thing I did was set up a tri-chair with Juliet Garcia and Herb Downing, and we set about, from the ground up, a grassroots effort rather than having the consultants develop something and then try to sell it to the community. So it took a lot more money, a lot more effort. We had numerous public hearings and workshops, over 1,000 people involved. It was an all-inclusive effort. The finished product was that it won a first place award in the state of Texas out of 44 communities. So we knew that it was a good plan. So what do we do with that plan? We put it on the shelf or we try to implement it? And if you're going to implement it, how do you plan to do that? It has tremendous possibilities, and we've already linked up with our sister city of Matamoros on a binational level. And it's our hope, once we tweak it and season it a little bit, to take it through the whole valley on a regional concept. We identified a lot of people in our community, a lot of public entities, people that are involved in those, rich resource persons in different industries. And everyone was involved in this process, and so there was total buy-in and total commitment. We set up a board for United Brownsville, and we included 7 major public entities. And we enlisted the executive director of each of those, plus 1 elected official that was designated by that entity. We also added 7 additional at-large private sector folks. And this United Brownsville is not an effort to dictate what's going to happen. It's a process that continues to evolve. But the magic of it is that around the table, you have all of these entities and all of these folks that are doing different things that historically has strategic plans, but they did it in a silo. They didn't take into consideration what the others were doing. That's all changed now, and everyone is on the same page. So that has tremendous power when you go to Washington, when you go to Austin, when you try to get things done. For example, and this is a comprehensive plan, so it addressed issues and challenges that we have in education, infrastructure, environment, healthcare, you name it. And the beauty of it is that for example, and as you mentioned, Bruce, every community is different. We're unique. We have a deep water port, we're on the border, and we're close to the Gulf of Mexico. So, by example, if we were to attract a large national or international new plan of some sort that would provide jobs, and not only low-paying jobs, but high-paying jobs, this is economic development that, as you mentioned, that drives everything else. Right. So who do we have to get involved in that process? Well, the Port of Brownsville, Economic Development Council, the city, of course, the university. You know, do we have the right power grid to do this? Do we have the right curricula to provide the jobs and the training for these jobs, et cetera? And so that's where we are so far. The city of Matamoros has started an effort called Imagina Matamoros, Imagine Matamoros. And we're linking up with them, and we have commissioned a study through Patton Boggs to help us do numerous deliverables, one of which is very important because it's a binational economic development zone that we hope to create. And we, as you mentioned, Bruce, there's more than border walls and boots on the ground to take care of our immigration issue. We need to turn around in this country and attract people. Right now, we are educating a lot of brilliant minds from all over the world. What do we do when they graduate? We send them back home so they can compete with us. So how smart is that?
Well, I just several thoughts. One is what you've described is an inclusive and participatory process, because economies are like ecosystems. You know, America tends to think of the individual entrepreneur, and there are individuals like Steve Jobs who are just frankly, you know, incredibly creative and able to spark and